Hello there my loves, it's Ebird Online and I'm here with another review from 90 Day Fiance, and this is season 7 episode 12, and I'm going to be talking today about Emily and Sasha. So today what I'm going to do is something a little different. As Emily and Sasha are getting married this week, this is the conclusion of their story. Go over what happened in this episode, and then I'm going to give my summary and analysis of the relationship going forward and draw some conclusions about their relationship. So let's get to it. Just before I do, I'm just going to remind you to subscribe to my channel. Make sure you press that red button and make Ebird a happy and contented Ebird, and make sure you press the bell notification so you don't miss any of my videos. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at mbird99. So Emily and Sasha wanted to get married, as we know, in Emily's hometown of Portland, Oregon, and we catch up with Emily, Sasha, baby David and a reluctant Betsy, and they're driving up to Portland, and Emily says, "We're back in Portland and we're going to a little beach house that we rented for the weekend. Sasha and I get married tomorrow." But there's trouble afoot. It seems as if Sasha is driving like a maniac. Both Emily and sister Betsy feel that he's going too fast, and they implore upon him to slow down. But Sasha poo-poos them and continues driving just as fast as he wants. Once they actually get there, everybody leaps out of the car. Sasha almost ran somebody over. But Sasha poo-poos this. He says, "You're worrying too much with your sister." Sasha, it's not the only thing that Betsy has on her mind. But this is just typical of Sasha's laissez-faire attitude, not just to marriage, but it would seem to life. And once they arrive at their destination, Betsy tells us, yet again, that she doesn't think that this wedding is a good idea. Betsy, we know. And she says, history has a point of repeating itself. And she tells us that Sasha has to prove himself to her. Unfortunately for you, Betsy, I think it's fair to suggest that Sasha doesn't give two fucks about the way that you feel. After the way that he acted and spoke to you in your own home, I would imagine that should be clear by now. He gaslighted your sister in front of you, he more or less called you fat, and he threw all of your food out. Is that not enough to make you realise he doesn't care what you think or say? But nevertheless, Betsy tries one more time, and she catches up with Sasha standing outside and is surveying the scene. He's looking out over the beautiful beach house and looking out over the beach, and Sasha says, "It's a really nice place." And Betsy sidles up and says, "Can you promise to love my sister forever?" And instead of just saying, "Yes, of course I can," Sasha says, "Only if she loves me." Betsy tries again, "Can you promise not to cheat on her?" And Sasha says, "I won't cheat on her. I'm not that kind of person. I'm not the person that's like that." Maybe he's got a twin. And he continues, "If she supports me, I will do the same to her." And Betsy says, "Is that a promise?" And he says, "Yes." And Betsy says, "That's a promise. You've now made a promise to me." Sasha doesn't know what's going on, but he shakes hands with her anyway. And Betsy tells us, "I hope he takes this marriage seriously and tries to make it work." I think Betsy he probably will do, but only for about a period of 2 years. After that, it's anyone's guess. And the following day is the big day, and it's Emily's wedding day. And we see Emily doing her hair and makeup in the mirror, and it's a very, very small wedding, so it's going to be absolute closest family and friends. And Sasha lets us know that he's really upset because his family can't be here. And Sasha decides to call his mum and son, Daniele. And his mum says, "I give you good wishes." And she says, "I'm glad that you finally found someone that you're going to be truly happy with. You must not lose respect for each other." Oh, mum. Sasha needed to have respect for Emily in the first instance to lose it, and I really don't think he did. And then Sasha talks to his son, and he says, "I really miss you. Someday you and I will be together again." And then he tells us when he gets his green card, he'll get Daniele over to America to live, or just to visit, whatever he wishes. And this to me seems slightly strange. Are you going to try and prize your son out of his mum's arms so that he can be with you and Emily? And it just makes me wonder what world Sasha lives in. Everything's just so simplistic in Sasha's world. And next we go back inside to see Emily, her mum and her sister sorting out flowers and putting on dresses and so on. Betsy tells Emily, "I didn't have time to get a new dress, so I just grabbed something out of the washing basket. Is this dress going to be okay, Emily?" Well, it's a little bit too late to ask now, Betsy, but let's not be stupid. I don't know you, Sasha or Emily, and I've known for the last at least 3 months that Emily's getting married to Sasha. So how is it you didn't know? How is it in 3 months you didn't think to yourself, "Let me buy a dress for the wedding"? But Emily's past caring, and she tells us, "I'm trying my best to remain calm. I've thrown the wedding together with absolutely no notice." Again, Emily, 3 months minimum. "We have no cake, no reception. It's just me and my family at the beach." And Betsy asks Emily, "Do you need anything?" And she said, "Possibly a mimosa." And so Betsy also decides to make one for Sasha as well. When she hands it to Sasha, he says, "What's this? Orange juice? In a champagne flute, Sasha." "Yeah, that's right, because that's how we always serve orange juice." And he takes a sip and pulls a face. "It's champagne? Of course it isn't, Sasha. You have no money, so it's cheap Prosecco." And then Sasha says, "Okay, I'll take a day off from my training and I'll put my fitness modelling career on hold for a few days and I'll have this mimosa." And he and Betsy drink together, and Sasha tells us, "Betsy and I have now found a compromise. No, Sasha, Betsy knows that she can do nothing to prevent this wedding, and so she's just having to deal with it." And when I look at Betsy's face, if that's the face of compromise, I wouldn't like to see her face of disgruntlement. And Betsy said, "I've accepted he's going to be my brother-in-law. I hope he loves her forever." "Betsy, he may love her forever, but there'll be nothing to dislike. He won't see her, he'll be gone. He'll be on his toes." And then Sasha says one of the most selfish things I think I've heard. This is just going to be a simple wedding. And he tells us that his previous weddings have been big, lavish affairs. But this time round, he doesn't need a fancy wedding. "I don't need an expensive wedding. After all, I've been married 2 times already." Sasha, what about Emily? She's not been married at all. Didn't you think to yourself, you should save just a little bit of money so you could maybe all go to a restaurant and have a nice meal and have some sort of reception just to mark the day? And it just tells me yet again that Sasha thinks only of himself and only of what he wants and not at all about Emily. And Emily says, "I'm trying to stay as calm as possible because we've decided to put this wedding together with no notice and we're doing it as quickly as possible. I'm totally freaking out." And Sasha tells us, "I finally found the love of my life." And I wondered to myself, how many times have you said that? And as if to ram this message home, Sasha looks in a mirror and punches. "Oh right, so that's the love of your life. Sasha, it's you." And finally Emily's ready and she comes downstairs and she looks very pretty. And I pretty much think she's nailed this kind of low-key beach wedding dress look. And Emily looks really pretty. And Emily's parents turn up and her mum's there. And she says Emily looks really good, she looks amazing. And then Emily tells us, "I'm about to walk out and marry the love of my life." And Emily walks with her dad down to the beach where Sasha and her family are waiting to get married. And when Emily and her dad come face to face with Sasha, Emily's dad says, "Take good care of her." And for once Sasha just says, "I will, of course," instead of saying like he usually does, "Only if she takes good care of me, only if she does it first." And they join hands as they say their wedding vows. And the wedding officiant says, "Today your separate lives are merged into one. This is the meaning of marriage." And Emily's mum smiles. And I hate to be rude, but it's the smile of a simpleton. And they say their vows to each other, and they're very traditional vows. And Sasha places a ring on Emily's finger and kisses the bride. "Do you take Emily to be your wife?" Sasha says, "Yes." "Emily, do you take this man to be your husband?" "Yes, I do." And there in a few words, we have it in a nutshell. Sasha just more or less said, yes. He hasn't even thought about his vows and saying "I do" properly. I know he's not American and very possibly there's a different way that marriages are done in Russia, but you would think if you're getting married, you'd look into the vows the way that they're supposed to be said in the country in which you're getting married. And it's a typical half-assed approach from Sasha. And Emily says, "I love you." And Sasha says, "I love you too." Emily says, "Husband." And Sasha says, "Wife." Number 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Emily's mum tells producers that she looked absolutely beautiful, and she says she wishes her the best of luck and she hopes she'll be happy for a long time. She'll see how it goes. Well, if a long time is 2 years, she probably will be. And Emily and Sasha both face the camera and they say they're very happy to be married. And Emily says, "Finally, Sasha can get a job." And Sasha says, "I've been waiting for this for such a long time." And that's where we end this love story. So what does the Ebird make of it all? Well, there are quite a few issues, unfortunately, aside from 2 ex-wives and 2 children that are all left in Russia, a continent away. The major problem that I see with Sasha is that he will never ever have all his family together once again. And I think the relationship between son and dad is irretrievably broken down. I've got an amazing relationship with my dad and I know everything about him. I know what he likes to eat, I know what makes him mad, I know what makes him happy. I even know the ridiculous jokes he's going to make right before he makes them. He has after all been making the same jokes for about 40 years. to my knowledge. And I do genuinely worry that some of Sasha's kids will never know Sasha inside out like this. And I wonder what you miss from not knowing a parent in that way. I don't think you necessarily have to live with a parent to know them this way, but I do feel that being on the same continent is kind of a plus point. So that's one massive problem. The second big problem that I see is Sasha's selfishness. And we see it when Sasha talks about his ex-wives and that they didn't understand him and they didn't give him what he wanted. And of course when he was in Russia and Emily was a new mum with baby David, and what did Sasha do? Why, he worked 18 hours a day at the gym. And incidentally, he has no money to show for this. And when he met up with his first wife, Marcia, she said, "Why are you going to America?" And first up, he lied and said that Emily wanted him to go. And we all know that Emily would have stayed anywhere that Sasha was. And then he said to Marcia, "I can do so much more for my family from America." But we know when he arrived in America, he was talking about the house that he wanted to have and the car he wanted to drive, not the school he wanted to send his kids to. And Sasha talks a lot about the financial benefits of him going to America. And then when he moved to America, straight up he was fighting with Betsy, even knowing that Betsy was opening her home to him and that Emily was really close with her sister. He did nothing to try and foster a good relationship with Betsy. In fact, he called her fat and tried to throw out her food. He also tried to wink and flirt with Emily's mum. And when Emily mentioned going to the gym, he straight away said, yes, you need to get into the gym. You need to get fit again. And who can forget when they were in Russia and Emily was saying, "I don't fit into these trousers anymore." Sasha said, "Pack these trousers. They'll be inspiration for you," notwithstanding the fact that the baby weight she was carrying was baby weight from his son. And his selfishness comes out more recently. He couldn't even be bothered to allay Betsy's fears by saying unequivocally that he would stay with Emily. He had to say, well, as long as Emily loves me, I will love her. As long as Emily treats me with respect, I'll stand by her. And even when he was driving to the wedding, he drove in the manner of a single man, with not a care in the world. And even though Betsy and Emily said, please slow down, and even though he had his own baby David in the car, it didn't bother Sasha. What's the big deal, he thought. Death or serious injury, Sasha. You know, that kind of thing. And finally, he didn't make any effort at all with this wedding, and he even says to us, I've been divorced twice, so what's the point of having a big wedding? Not thinking at all about what Emily would like. It didn't occur to him to make it as good as he possibly could. Aside from being a cheat, I just think Sasha is extremely selfish, and I don't know if there's anyone in the world that he'd put above his own need. And as for Emily, well, Emily just hopes upon hopes. She ignores what's happened before in Sasha's past. She knows very well when she met him, he was with his ex-wife, and she knew really that they were cheating. And when Sasha mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I think he said something along the lines of, we were talking when I was still with my ex-wife, she was like, yep, that was just as friends. She knows very well it was not just as friends, and she knows there was more to it. But she's trying to ignore all of that now, and she's trying to keep it secret from everybody else. And she just blindly believes what Sasha says, whether it makes sense or not. I think the end game for Sasha is to have US papers and to make it big in America. He thinks he's going to be some sort of fitness model and be rich and successful. I don't think his move to America has anything to do with baby David or Emily. I think it's got everything to do with Sasha. So guys, tell me what you think. Do you think it's going to last any more than 2 years? And I've got a feeling that Emily secretly knows what lays ahead, but she's just trying to put the best gloss on it that she possibly can. She's just hoping on hope that everything will be okay, but in the back of her mind, she knows very well it won't be. What do you think? Please let me know your thoughts in comment, and you know the Ebird will answer as many as she possibly can. And before you go, please don't forget to press subscribe and make sure you don't miss any of my future videos. I'll be back tomorrow with more videos from 90 Day Fiance, but in the meantime you can catch up with me on Twitter for a few sardonic tweets, and you'll find me on Ebird99. And so that's everything for today. You've been listening to Ebird Online. Ciao for now.